Prague is burning. SS Obersturmbannführer Otto Weidinger is 32 years old. He's been at war for 6 years, longer than some of the teenage soldiers in his convoy have been alive. Behind him, over 1,000 vehicles crawl through streets, choked with smoke and debris. Czech partisans fire from rooftops. Soviet tanks close in from the east. The date is May 7th, 1945. Germany surrendered yesterday in Reims. The war in Europe is officially over. But no one told Prague. Weidinger's mission is not victory. That dream died months ago in the frozen Hungarian mud. His mission is survival. Get these men to the American lines in Bavaria before the Red Army catches them. Every soldier in this column knows what Soviet captivity means. They've seen the photographs from liberated camps. They know what the world thinks of the twin lightning bolts on their collars. A barricade blocks the next intersection. Overturned trams, piled cobblestones, furniture dragged from apartments. The convoy starts. Machine gun fire rattles off armoured hulls. Somewhere ahead, a Panzerfaust explodes. These are the last shots of the Second World War in Europe. And the men firing them wear the death's head insignia of the SS. How did it come to this? 12 years earlier, the organisation that would become the Waffen SS consisted of exactly 8 men, Adolf Hitler's personal bodyguards. Nothing more. By the time Weidinger fights his way through Prague, that force has grown to 910,000 soldiers recruited from every corner of occupied Europe is less than #0. 5# is greater than Germans, Frenchmen, Dutchmen, Belgians, Norwegians, Danes, Ukrainians, Russians, Hungarians, even a handful of Swedish volunteers. Their elite panzer divisions earned a reputation for tactical brilliance that even their enemies grudgingly acknowledged. At Kharkov in 1943, they stopped a massive Soviet offensive and retook a burning city through a week of street fighting. In Normandy, teenage SS soldiers held back Allied armies for 3 months despite overwhelming superiority in tanks, aircraft and artillery. But 6 months before Prague, in a French village called Oradour-sur-Glane, men from Weidinger's own division locked 642 civilians inside a church. Women, children, the elderly. Then they set it on fire. The SS officer who gave that order never faced trial. Heinz Lammerding died peacefully in West Germany in 1971, running a successful construction company. How does that happen? So what were they? Elite soldiers or war criminals? For the next 3 hours, we're going to examine the evidence, and you'll hear things you won't find in most history documentaries. How a chicken farmer with no combat experience built the most feared fighting force in Europe. Why Hitler ordered his own elite troops to surrender their unit insignia in disgrace just weeks before the war ended. What happened when French SS volunteers fought alongside German teenagers in the apocalyptic defense of Berlin? Why one of the deadliest commanders was a Belgian politician who escaped to Spain and lived openly in his SS uniform is less than shown. 0# is greater than, and how some of the worst war criminals walked free while others were executed for crimes they may not have committed. This story still echoes today. Families discover their grandfathers wore the lightning bolts and don't know what to feel. Museums struggle with how to display their weapons and vehicles. Veterans organizations debate whether these men were soldiers or something else entirely. Understanding the Waffen SS means understanding how ordinary people commit extraordinary evil, how nationalism becomes fanaticism, how military effectiveness means nothing without moral foundation, how institutions fail, how ideology corrupts. This is not the story you learned in school. This is the complete story, the one that's been debated, disputed, and distorted for 80 years. This is the story of men of blood. All of it. The SS began with failure. November 9th, 1923. A cold afternoon in Munich. Adolf Hitler leads 2,000 men toward the city centre. His plan: seize control of the Bavarian government. His reality: 16 followers dead on the pavement when police open fire. The beer hall putsch collapses in minutes. Hitler is arrested, tried, sentenced to 5 years in Landsberg prison. But he learns something crucial in that bloody failure. He cannot trust large organizations he doesn't personally control. The Sturmabteilung, the SA, had been his street army. The brown shirts. By 1925, they number over 400,000 men, is less than his own. Zero hash is greater than useful for brawling with communists, intimidating political opponents, creating chaos. But their leader, Ernst Röhm, has his own ambitions, his own vision, his own power base. Hitler wants something different, something smaller, something absolutely loyal. April 1925. Julius Schreck forms a new unit with exactly 8 men. The Schutzstaffel, the protection squadron. Their sole purpose: guard Hitler's body. They wear black caps to distinguish themselves from the SA's brown. They stand at the back of rally halls, scanning for threats. They're not impressive. Not yet. Hitler will later recall, "We gathered the toughest ones. There were only a few men at first, but what men they were." Early years see forgettable commanders: Joseph Berchtold, Erhard Haydn. The SS remains a footnote to SA dominance. By 1928, the entire organization numbers just 280 men. Then comes Heinrich Himmler. January 6, 1929. A 30-year-old chicken farmer with round spectacles takes command. Himmler has no combat experience. He served briefly as an officer trainee at the end of the First World War, but never saw action. He's not physically imposing, not charismatic. But he understands organization. He understands bureaucracy. He understands mythology. Himmler speaks to recruits about history. Caesar's Praetorian Guard is less than #0. 5# is greater than Napoleon's Old Guard. Frederick the Great's elite regiments. There has always been a guard, he tells them, and the guard of the new Germany will be the SS. He's creating identity. The black uniform becomes symbol. The death's head insignia, skull and crossbones, sends a message. We are different. We are harder. We are willing to do what others won't. By 1930, the SA has 400,000 men. The SS, just 52,000. But those 52,000 are being carefully selected, methodically indoctrinated, structured into something more dangerous than a mob. January 30th, 1933. Hitler becomes Chancellor. The political struggle is over. Now comes consolidation of power. And now the SA becomes a problem. Spring 1934. Ernst Röhm commands 400,000 brown shirts. He wants them to become the new German army. He's talking openly about a second revolution. Army generals are alarmed. President Hindenburg is concerned. Hitler sees the danger. Röhm is too powerful, too independent, too willing to act on his own vision. Hitler needs to break him, but he cannot use the army, not yet fully loyal. He cannot use the police, still under civilian control. He uses the SS. Hermann Göring and Heinrich Himmler feed Hitler's paranoia. They whisper about SA plots, about Röhm's disloyalty. Hitler makes his decision in June is less than # 5 is greater than. Himmler and Reinhard Heydrich prepare lists. Names of SA leaders. Names of old enemies. Names of anyone who might threaten the regime. The operation is planned with bureaucratic precision. June 30th, 1934. Dawn. Hitler flies to Bad Wiessee, where Röhm and other SA leaders are staying at a lakeside hotel. SS men burst into bedrooms and drag officers from their beds. Röhm is arrested while sleeping. Hitler screams at him, calls him traitor, orders him taken to Stadelheim prison. In Berlin, Sepp Dietrich leads the Leibstandarte in arrests across the city. Some SA leaders resist. They're shot on the spot. At Dachau concentration camp, Theodor Eicke receives orders. His assistant, Michael Lippert, stands beside him. Both men will later command SS divisions. They go to Röhm's cell. Eicke places a pistol on the table, tells Röhm he has 10 minutes to use it. Röhm refuses. If Adolf wants me dead, let Adolf kill me himself. 10 minutes pass. Eicke and Lippert return. They shoot Röhm at point-blank range. He takes several minutes to die. The killing spreads beyond SA leadership. Old political enemies murdered. Former Chancellor Kurt von Schleicher shot in his home with his wife. Gregor Strasser executed in a Gestapo cell. Gustav von Kahr found dead in a swamp near Dachau, hacked with axes. The purge lasts 72 hours. July 13th. Hitler addresses the Reichstag is less than # 0 is greater than he announces 61 executed for treason. 13 died resisting arrest. 3 committed suicide. Actual death toll over 1,000. The SA leadership is decapitated. The organization continues but is neutered. The SS emerges as the dominant force. The lesson is clear. The Wehrmacht learns Hitler uses extra-legal violence. Conservatives learn their alliance has a price. The SS learns loyalty to Hitler means power. More than that, the SS learns it operates above the law. No one is prosecuted. Hitler passes a law declaring the killings legal retroactively. The German justice system accepts this without protest. A precedent is established. The SS can kill on Hitler's orders without fear of consequences. Theodor Eicke is promoted to Inspector of Concentration Camps. Michael Lippert will eventually command an SS division. Sepp Dietrich will lead armies. The Night of the Long Knives isn't just political purge. It's the moment the SS transforms from bodyguard into instrument of terror. When institutional murder becomes acceptable, when following orders means never answering for what you've done. From this point forward, the SS will grow, professionalize, eventually become a parallel military force. But it will never forget the fundamental lesson of June 1934. Loyalty to Hitler means freedom to kill. After the purge, Hitler faces a problem. He's broken the SA, but Germany is rearming is less than #0. 5# is greater than. He needs a military force he can absolutely trust. The Wehrmacht is dominated by Prussian aristocrats who view Hitler as a vulgar Austrian corporal. They'll follow orders, but their loyalty is to Germany, not Hitler personally. The SS is different. The SS swears its oath directly to Hitler, not to the state, not to the constitution, to the man. Hitler begins building his private army. The Leibstandarte, Hitler's bodyguard unit, expands from company to regiment. Initially, 120 men. By 1935, over 2,500. Sepp Dietrich commands them. Former First World War sergeant. Not brilliant, but absolutely loyal. Alongside the Leibstandarte, Hitler authorizes the SS Verfügungstruppe, dispositional troops. 3 regiments form the corps: Deutschland, Germania, Der Führer. Then there's the concentration camps. By 1934, the regime operates several camps for political prisoners: Dachau, Sachsenhausen, Buchenwald. These need guards. Theodor Eicke creates the Totenkopfverbände, Death's Head units. By 1939, roughly 6,500 guards. They're being trained in methods that have nothing to do with conventional military operations. Brutality, dehumanization, systematic violence against helpless people. These camp guards will later become soldiers. The Totenkopf division will form from their ranks. They'll bring their camp mentality to the front. Is less than #, 5# is greater than. But loyalty alone isn't enough. If the SS is going to be a real military force, it needs professional training. Enter Paul Hauser. Lieutenant General Paul Hauser is a career army officer, decorated First World War veteran. When he retires from the Reichswehr in 1932, he's respected. Himmler recruits him to professionalize the SS Verfügungstruppe. Hauser brings credibility. He establishes officer schools at Bad Tölz and Braunschweig, writes training manuals, institutes proper military discipline. Under his guidance, the SS begins to look less like party militia and more like actual military formation. Another key figure is Felix Steiner, former army officer, First World War assault troop veteran. Steiner emphasizes speed, flexibility, aggressive tactics. Hitler supports this development carefully. In 1935, he gives verbal approval that, in war, armed SS will incorporate into the army. But in peacetime, they remain independent. 1938 brings the Sudetenland. March 1939, rest of Czechoslovakia. The Leibstandarte participates. No shots fired, but experience gained. By September 1939, when Germany invades Poland, the armed SS numbers approximately 18,000 men in combat units. Tiny compared to Wehrmacht's millions, but growing. Hitler has his loyal military force, and in Poland they will see their first combat. Their first casualties is less than #0. 5# is greater than their first war crimes. While Himmler builds elite formations, another organization creates the manpower pipeline. The Hitler Youth. 1933 changes everything. When Hitler takes power, Baldur von Schirach becomes Reich Youth leader. He's 26 years old. His great-grandfather served as Union officer in American Civil War. Von Schirach begins absorbing all other youth organizations. By 1939, 7.7 million children and teenagers, nearly every young person in Germany, ages 10 to 14, Jungvolk, they wear uniforms, march, learn songs about sacrifice and loyalty. Ages 14 to 18, Hitler Youth proper. Training intensifies. Military drills disguised as games. 3 times weekly, political lectures. About the Führer. About racial theory. About enemies surrounding the Reich. At 17, recruitment begins. Waffen SS recruiters attend gatherings. They offer elite status, better equipment, a place in history. This pipeline will create the 12th SS Hitlerjugend Division, entire division of teenagers, average age 17 to 18. They'll fight in Normandy with the fanaticism of children taught since age 10 that dying for the Führer is highest honor. The SS wasn't Hitler's only political army. Hermann Göring had his own empire. By 1942, Luftwaffe has 170,000 surplus ground crew. Göring refuses transfer to Wehrmacht, is less than #0. 5# is greater than creates 22 Luftwaffe field divisions instead. This is Hitler's divide and rule strategy. Multiple competing organizations, each with own recruitment, logistics, support. Inefficient, but ensures no single branch can threaten him. October 1st, 1934. A castle in the Bavarian Alps opens its doors to 54 young men. They're the first cadets of the SS officer school at Bad Tolz. SS Standartenführer Paul Leto commands the school. He oversees a staff that will eventually grow to over 750 personnel. Spring 1935 brings a second academy at Braunschweig under Paul Hauser. These 2 institutions will forge the Waffen-SS leadership. Later additions include Klagenfurt, Posen-Treskau, and Prague. 7 NCO schools follow. The infrastructure for creating an officer class is complete. The commitment is absolute. Officers serve 25 years. NCOs 12. Enlisted men 4. This isn't temporary. Himmler is building a permanent institution. 6 o'clock in the morning. Every day begins the same. Cadets wake to whistles and shouting. They dress in white vests and black shorts marked with SS runes. Breakfast is porridge and water. The message is clear. Comfort is weakness. Physical training dominates the morning. Running until legs burn. Push-ups until arms shake. Climbing walls. Crawling through mud under barbed wire. Felix Steiner believes physical strength is the foundation is less than has shown. 5 hash is greater than. Steiner commands SS Standarte Deutschland at Dachau. The same Dachau where Theodor Eicke runs the concentration camp. Combat troops train alongside camp guards. They drink in the same beer halls. The boundaries blur from the beginning. Steiner demands his men surpass everyone, not just Wehrmacht standards, but also Leibstandart. The Leibstandarte guards Hitler's body, but Deutschland will be the superior fighting force. Weapons training follows. Rifle marksmanship, machine guns, grenades, anti-tank weapons, mortars. The cadets learn every weapon in the German arsenal. Then, captured weapons, Czech, Polish, French. Because in war, you use whatever works. Hand-to-hand combat is brutal. Knives, bayonets, entrenching tools, rifles as clubs. First World War veterans teach methods that have nothing to do with sport. This is about killing efficiently. 3 times weekly. Ideological education. Cadets file into lecture halls. They hear about the Führer's vision, about racial destiny, about enemies surrounding the Reich. Communists, Jews, democratic degenerates, international capitalists, about the need for hard men. This sets SS apart from Wehrmacht training. The army teaches tactics and discipline. The SS teaches fanaticism. Himmler speaks proudly of selection standards. Only 15 out of every 100 applicants accepted. Whether accurate or propaganda remains unclear is less than #0. 5 hash is greater than, what's certain, rejection is common. By 1937, 85% of SS officers are First World War veterans. 1/4 previously served in Reichswehr or Wehrmacht. The SS cannot recruit active army officers. Wehrmacht forbids it. But retired officers can join. Training combines Prussian discipline with something new. Steiner promotes unusual egalitarianism. Off-duty, officers and enlisted men interact as comrades. No saluting in barracks. No rigid class separation. This is partly ideological. The SS presents itself as revolutionary. But it's also practical. Soldiers who view officers as comrades fight harder. On duty, discipline is absolute. Endless drill. Marching until it becomes muscle memory. Every movement precise. Every command executed instantly. The goal? Men who function as single organism. Then come the extreme tests. Cadets dig foxholes and climb inside. A panzer drives directly over them. Earth shakes. Treads pass inches above their heads. Some panic and try to climb out. They fail immediately. Another test. Stand at attention while live grenade placed on helmet. Pin pulled. Seconds tick by. Move, and you fail. The grenade has dummy detonator. But cadets don't know that. Live fire exercises use real ammunition. Machine guns shoot overhead as you crawl. Artillery lands close enough, you feel concussion. Men are injured is less than #0. 5 hash is greater than some killed. Acceptable attrition. These methods produce results. Graduates include famous commanders. Fritz Klingenberg, who captures Belgrade with 10 men. Otto Kumm. Kurt Meyer. Panzer Meyer. Fritz Witt. Graduation involves ceremony. Cadets who survive take the SS oath during formal parade. They swear allegiance not to Germany, not to Constitution, not to German people. They swear personal loyalty to Adolf Hitler. Then, 12 months at specialized training schools. After that, another oath in Munich. They swear to follow Himmler's marriage laws, to marry only racially pure women, to produce children for Reich. These marriage laws quickly prove impractical. By war years, quietly ignored. Each officer receives ceremonial dagger engraved with SS runes. Inscription reads, Meine Ehre heißt Treue, my honor is loyalty. This motto becomes infamous. There's also the SS Totenkopf ring, silver with death's head and runes. Originally for membership numbers under 10,000, later extended to officers with 3 years' service. 1938 brings complications. Hitler dismisses war minister and takes total control. To placate Wehrmacht, orders SS officers serve attachments with army units. This fails. Wehrmacht officers resent SS intrusion. SS officers view army as hidebound. Mutual suspicion deepens. By 1943, everything changes. Massive expansion dilutes quality is less than #0. 5 is greater than casualties. Create desperate need. Training shortened. Standards lowered. Racial purity rules relaxed. Foreign volunteers arrive at Bad Tölz and Braunschweig. November 1943. 30 French officers report. Around 100 French NCOs attend schools. Even neutral Sweden sends 20 officers. Fritz Klingenberg, now Bad Tölz commandant, reframes narrative. No longer purely German force. Now, European army defending civilization from Bolshevism. Propaganda shifts to match reality. Germans from Reich become minority at academies. Elite identity cracks. Between 1939 and 45, schools produce 15,000 officers. Some brilliant tacticians. Some commit atrocities. Most simply die. As Reich collapses, remaining instructors and cadets form emergency battle groups. Braunschweig personnel form 35th SS Police Division. Bad Tölz sends men to 38th SS Nibelungen. Some fight at Bremen, others near Neisse. The institutions Himmler built die in rubble of collapsing Reich. March 1933. Sepp Dietrich establishes SS Guard Detachment Berlin with 120 men. This tiny unit becomes seed of Waffen SS. Initially at Alexander Barracks, unit relocates to Lichterfelde. Late 1933 merges with Jüterbog unit. 1934 brings official status as Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler. Sepp Dietrich commands. Former First World War sergeant is less than #0. 5 is greater than, not brilliant but absolutely loyal to Hitler. Leibstandarte participates in Austria annexation March 1938. Then Czechoslovakia. September 1st, 1939, Poland. Real war begins. May 1940 brings France. Heavy combat near Dunkirk. August 1940, upgraded to brigade strength for planned Britain invasion. Operation cancelled. Leibstandarte sent to Romania, then Balkan campaign. Division moves through Yugoslavia into Greece. Kurt Meyer's battalion captures Klissura Pass, 11,000 prisoners. June 1941. Division expands to motorized infantry, joins Barbarossa. Major battles at Kiev and Rostov. 1942. Withdrawal to France for refit. 1943. Under Theodore Wish, fights Kharkov and Kursk as Panzergrenadier Division. After Kursk, briefly Italy then East, as Panzer Division. April 1944. Redeployment to France. Headquarters Turnhout, Belgium. 1st SS Panzer Corps. Over 2,000 men from 12th SS transferred in. By D-Day, understrength. Many vehicles missing. Over 1,000 technical personnel still in Germany. 2nd SS Das Reich develops parallel. October 1939. Deutschland, Germania, Der Führer, regiments combine under Hauser, becomes Das Reich. 1940 Western Campaign brings distinction. Fritz Klingenberg's detachment secures Belgrade's surrender. 10 men bluff Yugoslav officials is less than #0. 5 is greater than city surrenders without shot. Division participates Barbarossa under Hauser. Eastern Front until August 1941. Returns for winter. Moscow fighting under Bittrich after Hauser wounded. 1942. Panzergrenadier status. France Station, then Eastern Front, early 1943. Under Georg Kepler participates Kharkov and Kursk. April 1944. Detachment, 2,500 men, under Heinz Lammerding to Bordeaux. Experience in anti-partisan operations East. Formally takes division, command January 1944. Division absorbs 9,000 recruits. Receives tanks and assault guns. 3rd, SS Totenkopf has darker origins. October 1939. 3 regiments from SS Guard units combine, 6,500 men. Commander Theodor Eicke, concentration camp inspector. Troops drawn from camps: Buchenwald, Dachau, Mauthausen, Sachsenhausen, Flossenburg. Men who guard prisoners become combat soldiers. General Wykes inspects April 1940. Declares fully modernized motorized infantry. France proves them in combat. Also reveals character. Le Paradis massacre. 97 British POWs murdered. Barbarossa begins. Totenkopf deploys 19,000 men. Siege of Leningrad with 4th SS Police Division. Later Southern France for rest. October 22nd, 1943. Full Panzer Division under Max Simon. Heavy combat Zhytomyr, Belgorod, Kursk is less than Hashan. 0 is greater than February 1943. Eicke killed when plane shot down. 4th, SS Police Division, different source. October 1939. 15,000 uniformed policemen form police division. Himmler faces recruitment restrictions, but controls Ordnungspolizei. Karl Pfeffer-Wildenbruch raises division. Mixed SS and police uniforms. Captured Czech weapons. Structure straightforward. 2 infantry regiments, not motorized. Horses for logistics, bicycles for mobility. Artillery regiment, horse-drawn. Early duties, Poland occupation. Brief France combat 1940. June 14th, Paris Victory Parade, Avenue Foch, Arc de Triomphe. Between 1940 and 42, 30 police regiments raised. Most occupied territories, security and anti-partisan operations. February 1943, redesignation SS police regiments. Barbarossa start, over 17,000 men. Army Group North. Luga, combat, 2,000 casualties. August, Mulverstedt killed. 5th SS, Viking, Burgers, Vision. October 1940. Gottlob Berger convinces Himmler recruit occupied territories. Germania Regiment withdraws from Das Reich. 2 new regiments from foreign volunteers. Standarte Nordland, Scandinavians. Standarte Westland, Dutch and Flemish Belgians. Finnish Battalion Nordost briefly joins, later disbanded. Named Viking emphasize Nordic character. Felix Steiner commands. Immediate problems. Internal discrimination is less than #0. 5 is greater than. Must order equal treatment all troops. Viking first action. Barbarossa as motorized infantry. 1942. Caucasus. Reorganized armored infantry. Spring 1943. Counterattacks Don and Dnieper. Nordland Regiment pulled to form 11th SS Nordland. Estonian Battalion replaces it. Fights Kursk. End 1943. Tank Battalion, full panzer status. The Transformation, 1943. Strategic crisis. El Alamein lost. Tunisia lost. Stalingrad lost. Germany needs mobile mechanized forces. Leibstandarte, Das Reich, Totenkopf reorganized Panzergrenadier with tank battalions. Early 1943, Guderian Inspector General Armored Troops. Authority over Army and Waffen SS tanks. Working with Speer standardizes weapons production. Ends separate SS supply systems. Waffen SS receives Tigers and Panthers, often before army units. Hitler's favoritism obvious. SS gets priority. Standard SS Panzer Division by 1944. 15,000 frontline troops, 6,000 support. Tank Regiment, 2 mechanized infantry regiments, Artillery Regiment. Tank Regiment, 2,000 men, 2 battalions, 4 companies each, 15 tanks per company. Total 100 to 120 tanks. Mechanized infantry regiments, 4,000 men each, 3 battalions per regiment. SD, KFZ, 251 half-tracks. Hummel and Wesper, self-propelled artillery, flamethrower carriers, mortar carriers is less than Hashone. 5 hash is greater than self-propelled anti-aircraft, Wirbelwind, Ostwind, Mobilwagen. Assault gun battalions, 300 men, 20 Stooge 3 or 4. Anti-tank units, Jagdpanzer IV destroyers, 75mm Pak 40 towed guns. Reconnaissance and pioneer battalions, over 1,000 men each. Artillery regiments, 4 battalions, 3 batteries each. 1 battery, self-propelled, others towed. Late 1944, Nebelwerfer rocket battalions added. Anti-aircraft battalions, 5 companies. 3 with 20mm, 2 with 88mm. 88's double duty, anti-aircraft and anti-tank. Tigers, not standard division structure. Independent heavy tank battalions at corps level. Battalion 101 supports 1st SS Panzer Corps. Crossed keys and oak leaves insignia, Leibstandarte link. Often operates with Hitlerjugend. Battalions 102 and 103 support other formations. As Tiger IIs arrive, renumbered 501, 502, 503. 501, Ardennes. 502, destroyed Berlin. 503, East Prussia. Distinctive camouflage. SS troops wear patterned smocks and helmet covers. Reversible designs for summer and winter. Later, full camouflage uniforms. Armoured crews, one-piece camouflage overalls. Tactical advantage and visual identification. Recognize SS soldier from camouflage pattern. By early 1944, transformation complete is less than #0. 5 is greater than 7 full panzer divisions. 8 panzer grenadier divisions. Multiple independent heavy tank battalions. 910,000 men total on paper. The weapon forged. Now tested in greatest battles. Summer 1940. Himmler faces manpower crisis. Wehrmacht controls German recruitment. Every SS recruit is one less for army. August 7th, 1940. Gottlob Berger submits proposal. Recruit from Allied and occupied nations. These volunteers won't conflict Wehrmacht quotas. Different population pools. Theodor Eicke initially resists criminal backgrounds, racial standards. April 1941. Himmler overrules Eicke. Foreign volunteers accepted. Hitler enthusiastic about Germanic volunteers. Scandinavians, Dutch, Flemish Belgians, racially suitable. Recruitment campaign begins. By 1944, 220,000 of 910,000 SS are foreign. 1/4. From over 15 nations. Motivations vary. Anti-communism, national independence dreams, ideological alignment, adventure, economic opportunity. Waffen SS transforms into unprecedented multinational army. Western Europe provides earliest volunteers. Netherlands forms 3rd SS Guard Battalion Northwest. Germanic SS Nederland emerges. Landstorm Nederland grows to 11,000 militia. Dutch groups merge into 34th SS Landstorm Nederland under Victor Knapp. but Anton Mussert demands separate Dutch units is less than #0. 5 is greater than creates recruitment shortages for multinational formations. Norway follows similar path. February 1942. Vidkun Quisling puppet leader. Name becomes synonym for traitor. Jonas Lie heads Germanic SS Norway. 6th SS Guard Battalion Nord from Norwegian volunteers. Peak 1,300 men. Most serve Norwegian police or Waffen SS, particularly 11th SS Nordland. Denmark maintains functioning government until 1943. Foreign Minister Erik Scavenius supports anti-Comintern Pact. Openly backs Danish SS recruitment. Scholberg Corps emerges as Danish paramilitary, evolves into SS Training Battalion Scholberg, then Guard Battalion Zealand. Pipeline to 11th SS Nordland. Belgium splits linguistically. Flemish volunteers join Standarte Westland. Walloons, French-speaking, led by Leon de Grelle. De Grelle raises volunteer formation. Initially, Wehrmacht unit. 1943, SS control. 28th SS Wallonien. Never exceeds 2,000 men. De Grelle becomes folk hero after Cherkasy. France presents greatest challenge. Traditional enmity deep. Yet, 1943, small French regiment forms. 1944 and 45, 33rd Waffen Grenadier Division Charlemagne. November 1943, 30 French officers to Bad Tolls. 100 French NCOs to SS schools. Most die Pomerania or Berlin defense. Bitter irony. Frenchmen dying defend Hitler's bunker is less than #. 5 is greater than 11th SS Nordland multinational vision. 1943. Nordland Regiment from Viking forms new division. Fritz von Scholtz, later Joachim Ziegler commands. Corps, Scandinavian volunteers. Norwegians, Danes, Swedes. Mussert's demands create gaps. Germans and Hungarians fill positions. Spanish SS units under Miguel Ezquerra attach. Franco veterans volunteer Hitler's crusade. Pure anti-communist motivation. Final battle Berlin. Ziegler commanding. Dies of wounds, final days. Nordland symbolizes European crusade against Bolshevism propaganda. Reality more complex. National independence dreams exploited. Anti-communist conviction, entangled genocidal ideology. Eastern Europe, desperation recruitment. Hungary provides substantial manpower. 25th SS Hunyadi, 31st SS with Slovaks, 33rd SS Cavalry. Quality variable, loyalty questionable. Romania's 7th SS Prinz Eugen recruits Volksdeutsche from Banat. Anti-partisan operations. Brutal reputation, Yugoslavia. Ukraine offers hope and disappointment. Nationalists see liberation from Soviets. 1943, 14th Waffen Grenadier, 1st Galician. 30,000 selected from 100,000 applicants. But Hitler never grants autonomy. September 1944, 1200 defect to French resistance. Bring full weapons. Reorganized. 1st Ukrainian Battalion. Absorbed French Foreign Legion 13th Demi Brigade is less than #. 5# is greater than only time Legion history entire foreign unit incorporated. Ukrainian SS become French legionnaires. Fight former German masters. Russians and Cossacks, greatest contradiction. Nazi ideology considers Slavs subhuman. Yet, necessity forces recruitment. Russian National Liberation Army, 1942. Kaminsky Brigade, 6,000 men. Later, 29th Waffen Grenadier, 1st Russian. Kaminsky executed for misconduct Poland. Remnants absorbed 30th Waffen Grenadier. 36th from Derluanga Brigade. Former Soviets, criminals, court-martialed, SS. Brutality horrifies even other SS units. Cossacks prove most loyal. 2 brigades fight Yugoslav partisans. Operations Taubag and Kugelblitz. Late 1944, 15th SS Cossack Cavalry Corps. Fight to end. Not for Hitler. Not ideology. They know fate if captured by Soviets. Post-war fate, tragic. Western allies forcibly repatriate thousands to Soviet Union. Mass executions follow. Survivors vanish Gulag. Final assessment. By 1944, 38 divisions on paper, many never exceed regimental strength. Designations often propaganda. Most reliable, Western European Germanic volunteers, better discipline. Most loyal, Cossacks, driven by anti-communist conviction. Least reliable, late-war Eastern European formations. Many desert when opportunity arises. Many foreign divisions assigned rear area security and anti-partisan operations is less than #0. 5# is greater than escalates into reprisals and civilian massacres. Line between military operations and atrocity disappears. Motivations complex. Anti-communism genuine for many. National independence hopes real, but betrayed. Ideological alignment minority. Adventure, escape, economic opportunity, all roles. Hitler never grants real autonomy foreign units. By 1944, enthusiasm faded due repression and shortages. Expansion increased numbers but diluted quality. Elite status reserved German corps divisions. Everything else, improvisation and desperation. September 1st, 1939. 4:30 in the morning. German forces cross the Polish border. The Leibstandarte advances with Army Group South under Field Marshal von Rundstedt. This is real war now, not a bloodless occupation like Austria or Czechoslovakia. The Polish army fights back. SS troops discover that combat is harder than the propaganda promised. Polish cavalry charges with desperate courage. Artillery fire tears through advancing columns. Machine guns cut down exposed infantry. For the first time, SS men die in battle against an armed enemy. The campaign lasts 5 weeks. Poland collapses under the combined German and Soviet invasion. But the SS learns a costly lesson. War is not a parade. They also learn something darker. September 1939. Location unspecified in official records. SS troops execute 50 Jews inside a synagogue is less than #0. 5# is greater than. They lock the doors and open fire. A court-martial follows. The perpetrator is tried. Death sentence issued. Then the judge overturns the conviction. His reasoning? Racial provocation. Youthful enthusiasm. The message is clear. SS men can murder Jews without consequences. This is not an aberration. This is policy. We have the Dumu white proper. May 10th, 1940. Fall Gelb begins. Case Yellow. The invasion of France and the Low Countries. The Leibstandarte, Das Reich, and Totenkopf divisions commit to the offensive. Initially held in reserve, they're thrown into battle as the Allied lines crack. The fighting is fierce, but brief. 6 weeks to defeat France. But alongside military operations, atrocities begin. May 27th, 1940. Near Le Paradis, in the Pas-de-Calais, the British Royal Norfolk Regiment holds a farmhouse against Totenkopf attacks. They fight until ammunition runs out. 97 soldiers surrender. White flag raised. Hands in the air. SS Hauptsturmführer Fritz Nochlein orders them marched to a nearby field. Machine guns are positioned. On his command, they open fire. 97 men murdered. 2 survive by feigning death beneath the bodies of their comrades. They will testify at Knochlein's trial after the war. Knochlein's background. Former guard at Dachau concentration camp. He brought his methods to the battlefield. The next day brings another massacre is less than #3. 0# is greater than. May 28, 1940. The village of Wormhout near Dunkirk. Leibstandarte troops capture approximately 80 British and French soldiers. They are forced into a barn. Grenades are thrown inside. Those who survive the explosions are shot. Wilhelm Mohnke is implicated. He will never be charged. Insufficient evidence, they say. He lives until 2001. The pattern is established. Military effectiveness combined with war crimes. Battlefield courage alongside murder. By June, France collapses. The campaign is a stunning success. Wehrmacht and SS forces have defeated a major European power in 6 weeks. June 14th, 1940. Paris falls. Elements of the 4th SS Police Division march down the Avenue Foch. They pass beneath the Arc de Triomphe. A victory parade in the conquered capital. The symbolism is deliberate. German police in Paris. The humiliation of 1918 reversed. France defeated. Germany triumphant. The SS has proven itself in combat. It has also revealed its character. Both things will define everything that follows. April 6th, 1941. Operation Marita begins. Germany invades Yugoslavia and Greece to rescue failing Italian forces and secure the southern flank before attacking the Soviet Union. The Leibstandarte crosses from Bulgaria. Das Reich moves through Yugoslavia. The campaign is swift, brutal, is less than hash 0. 5 hash is greater than efficient. One moment becomes SS legend. April 12, 1941. SS Hauptsturmführer Fritz Klingenberg commands a reconnaissance detachment. His mission: locate enemy positions ahead of the main force. He reaches the Danube River opposite Belgrade. Radio communications are down. No contact with division headquarters. Standard procedure would be to wait for orders. Klingenberg doesn't wait. He finds small boats, crosses with 10 men, enters Belgrade and locates Yugoslav officials, convinces them the city is surrounded, demands immediate surrender. They believe him. Belgrade surrenders without a shot. Klingenberg captures an entire capital with 10 soldiers. Its audacity bordering on insanity. It works. The SS propaganda machine ensures the story spreads across Germany. Klingenberg will later command Das Reich. He dies in combat in 1944. Meanwhile, Kurt Meyer leads another aggressive action. SS Sturmbannführer Meyer commands a reconnaissance battalion. He's earned the nickname Panzer Meyer for his aggressive tactics. His unit captures the Klissura Pass, takes 11,000 Greek prisoners. Meyer will later command the 12th SS Hitlerjugend Division. He'll be convicted of war crimes in Canada after the war. But in April 1941, he's a rising star. April 23rd. Greek forces surrender to the Leibstandarte. Multiple Greek divisions capitulate to a single SS division is less than hash 0. 5 hash is greater than. The symbolism reinforces the elite reputation. The Balkan campaign lasts 24 days. Yugoslavia and Greece both defeated. The Leibstandarte emerges with an enhanced reputation for speed and aggression. They're given a brief rest. New equipment arrives. Training intensifies. Because everyone knows what's coming next. The greatest campaign, the one Hitler has dreamed of since writing Mein Kampf. The invasion of the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa. June 22nd, 1941. 3 million men cross the Soviet border. 3 SS divisions commit to the initial assault. Leibstandarte with Army Group South. Das Reich with Army Group Center. Totenkopf with Army Group North. The Viking Division and Police Division also deploy, plus the 6th SS Mountain Division Nord in the Finland sector. This is total war, a war of annihilation. Hitler has made it clear the Soviet Union must be destroyed, its population enslaved or eliminated, its resources seized for the Reich. The SS embraces this vision completely. Totenkopf and the police division advance through the Baltic states. Objective: Leningrad. July brings fighting at the Luga River. The police division takes approximately 2,000 casualties in the early battles. Either they're fighting with high commitment or their leadership is poor. Possibly both. August sees Commander Mulverstedt killed in action. The division helps break Soviet resistance at Luga, but at terrible cost is less than Hajon. 0 hash is greater than. Defensive positions are established around Leningrad. Winter 1941–42 brings siege warfare. Brutal cold, static positions, constant artillery. Men freeze in their foxholes. Frostbite is as deadly as bullets. Meanwhile, the 6th SS Mountain Division Nord suffers catastrophic failure in Finland. July 1941. Attack on Murmansk and the Kola Peninsula. The division is poorly prepared. Artillery units haven't completed live fire training. Many infantrymen lack proper instruction. They encounter dense forests, swamps, and relentless mosquitoes. Navigation becomes difficult. Any soldier who strays from his unit risks being lost forever. Early July brings the Battle of Salla. 3 successive assaults are repelled. When Soviets counterattack with armor, panic spreads. Russian tanks, someone screams. The cry spreads through 5 battalions. Men break and flee. Losses: 86 killed, 232 wounded, 147 missing. It's a humiliating debut. The offensive is abandoned. Nord is relegated to static defense for the rest of the war. Das Reich, under Paul Hauser, advances toward Moscow. July through August brings encirclement battles. The Smolensk pocket traps hundreds of thousands of Soviet soldiers. September and October see continued advance. But the Rasputitsa arrives. The mud season. Roads become impassable swamps is less than #0. 5# is greater than vehicles sink to their axles. Movement slows to a crawl. November brings temperature drops. December, the final push toward Moscow. Das Reich is involved in the failed offensive. Hauser is wounded. Wilhelm Bittrich assumes command. December 5th and 6th. The Soviet counter-offensive begins. Fresh Siberian divisions hit German lines. Troops equipped for winter combat. Germans have no winter uniforms. Vehicles won't start in -30-degree cold. Das Reich pulls back to defensive positions. Winter 1941–42 becomes desperate holding actions. The dream of quick victory dies in the snow outside Moscow. Liebstandarte and Viking serve with von Kleist's 1st Panzer Group, racing through Ukraine. September brings the Kiev encirclement. Over 600,000 Soviets captured. The largest encirclement in military history. Liebstandarte plays a key role, cutting off retreat. October sees the advance toward Rostov on Don. November, Rostov is briefly captured. Then the Soviets retake it. The first major German city capture reversed. Liebstandarte suffers heavy casualties in street fighting. December brings withdrawal to the Maas River line. Winter positions are established. Viking operates in parallel. Similar experiences. Similar casualties. Behind the advancing armies come the Einsatzgruppen, mobile killing squads. Their mission: murder Jews, communists, and anyone deemed undesirable, is less than #. 5# is greater than. Some Waffen SS units participate in so-called security operations. The line between combat and atrocity blurs. Totenkopf routinely executes prisoners and civilians. The methods learned at Dachau are applied to occupied Soviet territory. The Commissar Order declares that Soviet political officers must be executed immediately upon capture. No trials. No prisoners of war status. Simply murder. The Barbarossa Decree goes further. German soldiers cannot be prosecuted for crimes against Soviet civilians. This creates a legal framework for atrocity. Villages are burned. Populations massacred on suspicion of supporting partisans. The Eastern Front introduces total war with no rules and no mercy. The SS adapts readily. They're already ideologically prepared. The dehumanization they practiced in concentration camps now extends to an entire front. By January 1942, German losses exceed 1.6 million. Killed, wounded, captured, missing. The SS divisions are battered but intact. Leibstandarte, Das Reich, and Totenkopf are withdrawn from the front in stages during 1942. Sent to France for rest and refit. They need to rebuild. Absorb replacements. Prepare for the next campaign. The experience has transformed them. They're no longer parade ground soldiers. They're hardened by the most brutal combat imaginable. And the moral corruption accelerates. The Eastern Front shows them that anything is permissible is less than Hajon. Zero hash is greater than. That ideology justifies any action. The abyss stares back. February 1943. The German front in southern Russia is collapsing. Stalingrad has fallen. An entire army destroyed. Soviet forces surge westward, pushing exhausted Wehrmacht divisions back. The momentum belongs entirely to the Red Army. Field Marshal von Manstein commands Army Group South. He's Germany's most capable defensive strategist. But even Manstein is running out of options. February 15th. Kharkov, Ukraine's second largest city, falls to Soviet forces. Hitler is furious. The loss is both strategic and symbolic. But Manstein has a plan. The Soviets have advanced too far, too fast. Their supply lines are stretched thin. Their formations are tired. If he can concentrate enough force at the right point, he can cut them off and destroy them. For this operation, Manstein has 3 elite divisions: Leibstandarte, Das Reich, Totenkopf. Together they form the SS Panzer Corps under Paul Hauser. These divisions have been refitting in France since late 1942. They're rested, re-equipped, ready. Now they return to the Eastern Front at full strength. Late February. The counter-offensive begins. The SS Panzer Corps strikes the overextended Soviet flank. Tank battalions punch through weak points. Mechanized infantry exploit the breakthroughs. The Soviets, expecting continued German retreat, are caught completely unprepared, is less than Haschon. 5 hash is greater than. Within days, the situation reverses. German armoured spearheads encircle Soviet formations. Tens of thousands of Soviet soldiers trapped. March 7th. The SS Panzer Corps reaches the outskirts of Kharkov. Paul Hauser requests permission to continue the offensive and retake the city. Manstein approves. Street fighting begins. Brutal, close-quarters combat. house to house, room to room. The Leibstandarte attacks from the north, Das Reich from the west. Totenkopf secures the flanks. Soviet defenders fight tenaciously, but are gradually pushed back. March 15th. Kharkov is recaptured. The SS Panzer Corps has achieved what seemed impossible just weeks earlier. Not only stopped the Soviet advance, but reversed it. Recaptured a major city. Destroyed multiple Soviet divisions. German propaganda seizes on the victory. The Waffen SS is presented as saviour of the Eastern Front. Elite troops who succeed where others fail. There's truth in the propaganda. The 3 SS divisions performed exceptionally well. Their training, equipment, and aggressive leadership made the difference. But the propaganda omits crucial details. These divisions are significantly larger than standard Wehrmacht divisions. They have priority for tanks, equipment, and replacements. They operate at near full strength, while army divisions are skeletal. More importantly, Manstein's operational brilliance created the opportunity is less than #0. 5 is greater than the SS executed his plan. They didn't create it. Nevertheless, Kharkov establishes the Waffen SS reputation as Germany's elite fighting force. Hitler becomes even more convinced they're superior to the regular army. The SS divisions will continue receiving priority treatment. For the men who fought at Kharkov, the victory is validation. Proof that their training and sacrifice matter. Proof they're special. That belief will sustain them through the catastrophes ahead. Spring 1943. The Eastern Front stabilizes after Kharkov. Both sides exhausted. Both sides preparing for the next offensive. Hitler looks at the map and sees an opportunity. Near the city of Kursk, Soviet lines bulge westward into German-held territory. A salient roughly 120 miles wide and 70 miles deep. Soviet forces inside this bulge are vulnerable to encirclement. Hitler orders Operation Citadel, a massive pincer attack. Army Group South strikes from the south. Army Group Center from the north. Meet in the middle and trap hundreds of thousands of Soviets. It's a gamble. Germany is committing nearly its entire strategic reserve. Almost every available panzer division. If Citadel fails, there's no backup plan. But Hitler believes in his new weapons. The Tiger tank with its thick armour and 88mm gun, the Panther with its powerful 75mm gun, the Ferdinand tank destroyer is less than has shown, 0 is greater than. These will break through Soviet defences. The offensive is originally planned for May, then postponed to June, then July. Hitler keeps delaying, waiting for more new tanks. Every delay gives the Soviets more time to prepare, and they prepare thoroughly. Soviet intelligence knows the attack is coming. They know where it will strike. They know when. The GRU, Soviet military intelligence, has a spy ring inside Wehrmacht headquarters. The Soviets turn the Kursk salient into a fortress. 6 defensive belts, each miles deep. Anti-tank ditches. Minefields. Trenches. Artillery positions. Over 1 million mines laid in the southern sector alone. They concentrate massive forces. 1.3 million men, 3,400 tanks, 20,000 artillery pieces. The greatest concentration of military power in Soviet history. July 5, 1943. Operation Citadel begins. In the south, the SS Panzer Corps leads the assault. Leibstandarte, Das Reich, Totenkopf. Now joined by a 4th Division, 3rd SS Panzer Division Viking. They attack into a storm of fire. Soviet artillery opens up before German troops even cross the start line. The Soviets knew the exact time of attack. German tanks advance into prepared killing zones. Minefields channel them into artillery fire. Anti-tank guns positioned for perfect fields of fire. Every yard forward costs vehicles and lives is less than Hashon. 5 hash is greater than. The SS divisions fight with characteristic aggression. They push forward despite appalling casualties. Gain ground. Break through the first defensive belt. Then the second. But each breakthrough takes more time, more men, more tanks than anticipated. July 12th. The largest tank battle in history erupts at Prokhorovka. 5th SS Panzer Corps, now including Leibstandarte, Das Reich, and Totenkopf, clashes with Soviet 5th Guards tank army. Over 800 tanks engaged in close-quarters combat. The battlefield becomes chaos. Tanks fighting at point-blank range. Crews bailing out of burning vehicles. Smoke so thick, commanders can't see their own formations. Both sides claim victory. Both sides suffer catastrophic losses. The SS Panzer Corps is battered but not broken. The Soviets lose more tanks but have reserves to replace them. But the strategic calculation has changed. July 10th. The Western Allies invade Sicily. Italy is collapsing. Hitler needs divisions for the Mediterranean. July 13th. Hitler cancels Operation Citadel. The offensive is abandoned. German forces ordered to defensive positions. The SS Panzer Corps has advanced roughly 30 miles in 8 days. At staggering cost. Leibstandarte alone loses roughly 40% of its tanks. More critically, the strategic initiative passes permanently to the Soviets. Germany will never again launch a major offensive in the east is less than Hashon. 0 hash is greater than. From this point forward, it's constant retreat. Kursk breaks the back of the German armoured force. The SS Panzer divisions are no longer the unstoppable elite. They're increasingly just stopgaps, thrown into crises to prevent complete collapse. The myth of invincibility dies at Kursk. January 1944. Central Ukraine. The Soviet winter offensive has shattered German defensive lines. Multiple Wehrmacht corps are trapped in shrinking pockets. One of the largest encirclements forms around the town of Cherkasy. Approximately 60,000 German and Allied troops are surrounded. 2 army corps, including elements of the Waffen SS Walloon Brigade under Leon de Grelle. The temperature drops to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Men freeze to death in their foxholes. Vehicles won't start. Weapons jam. Soviet forces tighten the ring. Artillery pounds German positions day and night. Supplies run critically low. Ammunition, food, medical supplies. The Luftwaffe attempts aerial resupply, but winter storms and Soviet fighters make it nearly impossible. Field Marshal von Manstein orders a relief operation. 1st SS Panzer Corps under Herbert Gill will break through from the outside. The trapped forces will simultaneously attack outward. If both attacks coordinate properly, they can create a corridor for escape. But the plan requires the encircled forces to abandon all heavy equipment. Tanks. Artillery is less than -0. 5 is greater than vehicles. Everything that can't be carried on a man's back must be destroyed. February 4th. The relief attack begins. 1st SS Panzer Corps, including Leibstandarte and elements of other divisions, drives toward the pocket. They fight through blizzards and Soviet defensive positions, gain ground slowly, casualties mount, but they keep pushing forward. Inside the pocket, conditions deteriorate. Wounded soldiers freeze in makeshift aid stations. The dead cannot be buried in the frozen ground. Men eat their horses to survive. February 16th. The breakout begins. Under cover of darkness, 60,000 men abandon their positions. They leave behind hundreds of vehicles, tanks, and artillery pieces, all rigged with demolition charges. The march is through deep snow in sub-zero temperatures. Soviet forces realize what's happening and attack the columns. Men fall and don't get up. Wounded are left behind. The Walloon Brigade under Leon Degrelle fights rearguard actions, protecting the retreating columns. Degrelle himself is wounded but continues fighting. February 17th. The two forces link up. A narrow corridor opens. Encircled troops stream through. Approximately 45,000 men escape. 15,000 killed or captured. Almost all heavy equipment lost. The Cherkasy breakout is celebrated in German propaganda as a victory. 45,000 men saved from certain death is less than Hashon. 0 is greater than Leon Degrelle receives the Knight's Cross for his leadership. He becomes a Waffen SS folk hero. But the reality is more sobering. 2 entire corps nearly destroyed. Irreplaceable equipment abandoned. The Eastern Front has consumed another German army. For the SS Panzer divisions that conducted the relief operation, Cherkasy demonstrates their role has changed. No longer offensive spearheads. Now they're crisis responders, constantly thrown into desperate situations to prevent total collapse. The victories are increasingly Pyrrhic. They save armies, but cannot save Germany. The Eastern Front is becoming a meat grinder, and even elite SS divisions are being ground down. March 1944. Southern Ukraine, near the Romanian border. Another massive encirclement forms. Soviet forces have trapped approximately 200,000 German troops. Entire 1st Panzer Army. The pocket is even larger than Cherkasy. Hitler orders the trapped army to hold in place. Establish a fortress and wait for relief. No retreat. No breakout attempts. Field Marshal von Manstein sees this order for what it is: a death sentence. The Luftwaffe cannot supply 200,000 men. Soviet forces will methodically destroy the pocket. Manstein argues with Hitler, demands permission for the army to break out westward. Hitler refuses. Manstein does it anyway. He orders 1st Panzer Army to begin fighting its way west, while simultaneously organizing a relief force from outside is less than #0. 5 is greater than. It's a massive gamble. If Hitler relieves him for disobeying orders, the entire operation collapses. 2nd SS Panzer Corps, Das Reich and other divisions, drives east to open a corridor. They fight through Soviet positions, making slow, costly progress. Inside the pocket, 1st Panzer Army fights westward. 200,000 men moving in mobile defensive formation, constantly attacked from all sides. The operation lasts 3 weeks. 3 weeks of continuous combat in mud and rain. Vehicles break down. Fuel runs low. Ammunition is rationed. But the two forces gradually close the distance. Das Reich and other SS units maintain the corridor. 1st Panzer Army squeezes through. By early April, most of the trapped army escapes. Approximately 180,000 men saved, but 20,000 killed or captured. Most vehicles and heavy equipment lost. It's another victory that feels like defeat. The SS Panzer divisions have again performed their role: crisis responders, firefighters rushing from one disaster to the next. But they cannot be everywhere. After Kamenets-Podolsky, Hitler finally relieves Field Marshal von Manstein, Germany's best defensive strategist, dismissed for saving an army. It's a sign of how detached from reality Hitler has become. For the Waffen SS, the pattern is clear: constant crisis, constant retreat, constant casualties. The replacements are younger, less trained, less motivated, is less than #. 5 is greater than. The elite formations that won at Kharkov are shadows of themselves. Still dangerous. Still effective. But stretched impossibly thin across a collapsing front. And now comes the invasion everyone has been expecting. D-Day. The Western Allies are coming. And Germany must fight on 2 fronts simultaneously. The Waffen SS will face its greatest test not in Russia, but in France. July 25, 1943. Benito Mussolini is arrested by his own government. Italy's fascist regime collapses. The new government begins secret negotiations with the Allies. Hitler sees betrayal coming. He orders Operation Axe, Axis. The codename is darkly ironic. German forces will disarm their Italian allies and occupy the entire country. Several SS units are already in Italy. Leibstandarte has been transferred from the Eastern Front after Kursk. Elements of other divisions are scattered across northern Italy. September 8, 1943. Italy announces armistice with the Allies. Operation Axe activates immediately. German troops move swiftly, disarming stunned Italian units. Most Italian soldiers simply go home. Some resist and are crushed. Some join German forces. The Italian military effectively ceases to exist. September 12th. A daring commando operation. Otto Skorzeny leads SS paratroopers in a glider assault on Gran Sasso. They rescue Mussolini from his mountain prison is less than Hazone. 5# is greater than. It's a propaganda coup. The Duce, restored by German special forces. Mussolini is installed as puppet leader of the Italian Social Republic in northern Italy. But Germany's Italian problem is just beginning. The Allies land at Salerno, September 9th. American and British forces push north up the Italian peninsula. Field Marshal Kesselring organizes German defense with characteristic skill. The Leibstandarte participates in defensive operations, fighting delaying actions as German forces withdraw to prepared positions. Italy's mountainous terrain favors defense. The Gustav Line forms across the narrowest part of Italy. Centered on Monte Cassino, the Allies will spend months trying to break through. But the SS divisions don't stay in Italy long. By late 1943 and early 1944, most are pulled out. They're needed elsewhere. The Eastern Front is collapsing. The invasion of France is imminent. Leibstandarte goes to Belgium for rest and refit. Absorbs replacements. Receives new equipment. Prepares for the coming invasion. Italy becomes primarily a Wehrmacht show. Regular army divisions and Luftwaffe field divisions hold the line. Some SS units remain for specific operations. The 16th SS Panzergrenadier Division Reichsführer SS operates in Italy throughout 1944. So does the 29th Waffen Grenadier Division, the Italian division. Composed of Italian fascist volunteers who remain loyal to Mussolini is less than shown. 5# is greater than. These units gain brutal reputations. Anti-partisan operations escalate into civilian massacres. August 1944, Sant'Anna di Stazzema massacre. 16th, SS kills 560 civilians. Women, children, elderly. September and October 1944. Multiple massacres across Tuscany. Marzabotto, 770 civilians murdered. The pattern repeats across occupied Italy. Partisan attack, German patrol. Germans respond by destroying entire villages. The ratio is often 10 civilians executed for every German soldier killed. Italy demonstrates how Waffen SS anti-partisan doctrine produces atrocity. The line between military operation and war crime disappears entirely. By spring 1945, German forces in Italy are isolated and irrelevant. The real war is being decided elsewhere. In France, in Germany itself, the SS divisions that fought in Italy are mostly gone, transferred north for the final battles. Those that remain surrender when Germany collapses. Italy was meant to be the soft underbelly of Europe. Instead, it becomes a grinding stalemate. And for the Waffen SS, just another theatre where elite reputation cannot change strategic reality. April 1943. Warsaw Ghetto. Over 400,000 Jews have been imprisoned there since 1940. Most have already been deported to Treblinka extermination camp. Approximately 60,000 remain is less than #0. 5 is greater than. They know deportation means death. They decide to resist. The uprising begins April 19th. Jewish fighters, poorly armed but determined, attack German police entering the ghetto. Using smuggled weapons, homemade explosives, Molotov cocktails. The Germans are forced to retreat. Heinrich Himmler is furious. He orders the ghetto liquidated completely. SS Brigadeführer Jürgen Stroop takes command of the operation. Stroop has over 2,000 men, SS, police, Wehrmacht units, and collaborators. They face fewer than 1,000 Jewish fighters with minimal weapons. But the ghetto is a maze. Fighters use sewers, tunnels, hidden passages. Ambush from windows and rooftops. Disappear before Germans can respond. Stroop changes tactics. If fighters won't come out, he'll burn them out. Systematic destruction begins. Building by building. Block by block. Flamethrowers torch apartments. Artillery shells, homes. Engineers demolish structures. The ghetto burns. Jewish fighters continue resisting. Some hold out in bunkers. Others escape through sewers. Most die fighting or in the flames. May 16. Stroop declares victory. His final report states, the Warsaw Ghetto is no more. He demolishes the Great Synagogue to celebrate. The symbolic heart of Jewish Warsaw destroyed. Approximately 13,000 Jews killed during the uprising. Some in combat. Most murdered after capture or burned alive is less than #. 0 is greater than. Another 50,000 deported to concentration camps. The SS presents this as military victory. Over 2,000 armed troops needed 4 weeks to suppress fewer than 1,000 poorly armed fighters. The mathematics expose the lie. But the Warsaw Ghetto uprising reveals something else. It shows how thoroughly the SS has embraced genocide as routine operation. Stroop's daily reports are bureaucratic, listing numbers killed as if recording inventory. No hesitation. No moral doubt. Just systematic murder documented in official paperwork. After the war, Stroop is captured by Americans, extradited to Poland. Tried, convicted, hanged in 1952. His final words, Heil Hitler. August 1944 brings another Warsaw uprising. This time, Polish Home Army, non-Jewish resistance, rises against German occupation. They expect Soviet forces approaching from the east to support them. Stalin deliberately halts Soviet advance. Lets Germans destroy Polish resistance. SS units participate in brutal suppression. The Dirlewanger Brigade, criminals and psychopaths commanded by Oskar Dirlewanger, commits unspeakable atrocities. Mass rapes, torture, murder of civilians. Even other SS officers complain about Dirlewanger's methods. But he has Himmler's protection. The brigade continues operations until war's end. The Warsaw Uprising ends October 2nd. Over 200,000 Polish civilians dead is less than #. 0 # is greater than the city systematically demolished. Hitler orders Warsaw erased from existence. Special demolition teams spend months destroying what remains. By January 1945, Warsaw is rubble. These Warsaw operations represent the Waffen SS at its absolute worst. Military operations indistinguishable from genocide. Elite formations participating in mass murder. After the war, SS veterans will claim they were soldiers, not criminals. That they fought honorably. That atrocities were committed by others. Warsaw proves the lie. The Waffen SS was deeply complicit in the Holocaust. Not just camp guards. Combat divisions participated in genocide. There is no honor in that. June 6, 1944. 0300 hours. Allied paratroopers drop into Normandy darkness. The invasion begins. At dawn, the largest amphibious assault in history hits 5 beaches. American, British, Canadian forces. Supported by overwhelming naval and air power. The Atlantic Wall, Hitler's coastal fortress system, crumbles within hours. Some strongpoints hold. Most are overwhelmed by sheer firepower. By nightfall, Allies have established beachhead. German response is chaotic. Field Marshal Rommel commands Army Group B defending France, but he's in Germany visiting his wife on her birthday. His staff waits for his return before making critical decisions. Hitler is asleep, and his staff won't wake him. Hours pass before he's informed, is less than #. 0 # is greater than. More hours before he authorizes panzer reserves to move. The closest SS formation is the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend, composed almost entirely of teenagers from Hitler Youth. Average age 17 to 18. They're stationed south of Caen. Ordered forward June 7th. But Allied air power dominates. Any movement during daylight draws immediate attack. The division advances in stages, hiding during day, moving at night. It takes them over 24 hours to cover 40 miles. June 7th evening. Hitlerjugend makes contact with Canadian forces. The fighting is immediate and brutal. These teenage SS soldiers fight with fanatical determination. They've been indoctrinated since age 10. They believe dying for Hitler is highest honor. Canadian troops are shocked by their aggression, also by their war crimes. Hitlerjugend soldiers murder Canadian prisoners in multiple incidents. Abbaye d'Ardennes on June 7th and 8th. 20 Canadian POWs executed. Shot in the back of the head. Kurt Meyer, Panzermeyer, commands the division. After the war, he's tried for these murders. Convicted and sentenced to death. Sentence later commuted to life imprisonment. Released 1954. But Hitlerjugend cannot stop the invasion. No German division can. Allied material superiority is overwhelming. The Leibstandarte arrives from Belgium. First SS Panzer Corps assembles, is less than #. 0 hash is greater than, but assembling takes days because of Allied air attacks. When SS Panzer divisions finally concentrate for counterattacks, they achieve local successes, push back Allied advances, recapture villages. But strategic situation is hopeless. The Allies have air superiority, naval gunfire support, unlimited supplies. Every German attack is met with overwhelming firepower. SS divisions suffer catastrophic casualties, not from enemy tanks, from artillery and airstrikes. Entire companies disappear in bombardments. Late June brings Operation Epsom. British attempt to encircle Caen. 2nd SS Panzer Corps, Das Reich, Hohenstaufen, Frundsberg, rushed from Eastern Front to stop it. They halt the British advance, but at terrible cost. The bocage, Normandy's hedgerow country, favours defence but negates armour advantages. July brings Operation Goodwood and Cobra, massive Allied offensives, preceded by carpet bombing that obliterates German positions. The SS Panzer divisions fight desperately. Some battalion commanders are teenagers, promoted from the ranks. Officers are dead. Replacements, untrained. Equipment losses can't be replaced. August. The Falaise Pocket. American breakthrough at Avranches opens Brittany. Patton's Third Army races across France. German forces in Normandy face encirclement. Hitler orders counterattack toward Avranches. Operation Lüttich. Every available panzer division, including multiple SS formations, commits to the attack is less than Hashone. 5 hash is greater than. It's insanity. The divisions are under strength and exhausted. Attacking into prepared Allied positions, under complete air superiority. The operation fails immediately. Now the trap closes. American and British forces converge. The Falaise Gap narrows. Approximately 100,000 German troops trapped inside, including most of 1st SS Panzer Corps. Allied artillery pounds the pocket. August 19th and 20th. Desperate breakout attempts. Some troops escape through narrow gap. Most don't. Approximately 50,000 Germans captured. 10 to 15,000 killed. Falaise Pocket strewn with destroyed vehicles and dead horses. The elite SS Panzer divisions that entered Normandy barely exist. Leibstandarte down to 20 tanks and 600 men. Hitlerjugend's similar strength. They're evacuated to Germany for complete rebuilding. But rebuilding takes time Germany doesn't have. Normandy demonstrates that even elite formations cannot overcome material disadvantage. Training and fanaticism matter, but they cannot stop artillery and air power. They cannot replace destroyed equipment. The Waffen SS fought well in Normandy, but they lost, and Germany has no strategic reserve left. September 17, 1944. Operation Market Garden begins. British Field Marshal Montgomery's ambitious plan to end the war by Christmas. Airborne troops will seize bridges across Netherlands is less than #0. 5 hash is greater than opening corridor into Germany. Ground forces will race north through the corridor, cross the Rhine at Arnhem, bypass German defences entirely. The plan requires everything to go perfectly. It doesn't. British 1st Airborne Division drops near Arnhem. Their objective: capture and hold the bridge until ground forces arrive. Allied intelligence believes only second-rate German units are in the area. The intelligence is catastrophically wrong. 2nd SS Panzer Corps is refitting near Arnhem. 9th SS Panzer Division Hohenstaufen. 10th SS Panzer Division Frundsberg. Both divisions were mauled in Normandy. They're under strength and re-equipping. But they're still combat-effective SS Panzer divisions, and they're exactly where the British are landing. Lieutenant Colonel John Frost leads British 2nd Battalion to Arnhem Bridge. They capture the northern end, but German reaction is immediate. SS troops counterattack. Supported by armour, the British paratroopers, lightly armed, hold the bridge for 3 days. September 19th and 20th. SS Panzer units systematically reduce the British position. Armour fires point blank into buildings. Infantry clears house by house. The rest of 1st Airborne Division tries to reach the bridge. They're blocked by SS forces. Cut into isolated pockets. Ground forces advancing from south can't break through. German defences hold at other bridges. The corridor becomes a shooting gallery is less than #. 5# is greater than. September 21. Frost's force at the bridge is finally overwhelmed. Out of ammunition, casualties mounting. The survivors surrender to 9th SS Panzer Division. German officers treat them respectfully. One SS officer reportedly says, "You fought well, but this was not your bridge to take." The remaining British paratroopers are trapped north of the Rhine. September 25 and 26. Evacuation across the river under cover of darkness. Approximately 10,000 British paratroopers dropped at Arnhem. Only 2,400 escape. Over 1,300 killed. 6,000 captured. Operation Market Garden fails completely. The war will not end by Christmas. The Rhine remains a barrier. For the Waffen SS, Arnhem is a defensive victory. 2 understrength divisions defeated elite British airborne forces. Tactical competence and aggressive leadership made the difference. But strategically, it changes nothing. Germany is still losing. The Allies still advancing. Arnhem only delays the inevitable. The SS Panzer divisions return to refitting, absorbing replacements, preparing for the next crisis. Because there's always another crisis. And the next one will be Hitler's final gamble. The Ardennes. December 16, 1944. 5:30 in the morning. The quiet Ardennes sector of Belgium and Luxembourg erupts in fire. 2,000 German artillery pieces. Open bombardment is less than #0. 5# is greater than. The largest German offensive in the West since 1940. Hitler's final strategic gamble. The plan is audacious. 3 armies will punch through thinly held American lines. Drive northwest toward Antwerp. Split Allied forces in 2. Encircle and destroy 4 Allied armies. Force Britain and America to negotiate peace. Hitler believes this will work. His generals know it's fantasy. But no one dares contradict the Führer anymore. 6th SS Panzer Army under Sepp Dietrich leads the northern assault. 4 SS Panzer divisions spearhead the attack. 1st SS Panzer Division, Leibstandarte. 2nd SS Das Reich. 9th SS Hohenstaufen. 12th SS Hitlerjugend. These divisions have been rebuilt after Normandy. New tanks. New tanks. Fresh recruits. But the replacements lack the training and experience of the men who died in France. 1st Panzer Division SS under Joachim Peiper gets the critical mission. His battle group, Kampfgruppe Peiper, will drive for the Meuse River. Fast, aggressive, unstoppable. Initial attacks achieve surprise. American units are overrun. Some surrender. Some retreat in disorder. December 17th. Near Malmedy, Kampfgruppe Peiper captures over 100 American prisoners, military police and other support troops. The prisoners are gathered in a field. Machine guns open fire. 84 Americans murdered in what becomes known as the Malmedy Massacre. Some Americans survive by feigning death is less than #0. 5# is greater than, they will testify. After the war, Peiper is tried and sentenced to death. Sentence commuted to life. Released 1956. The massacre has immediate tactical consequences. Word spreads rapidly through American units. Soldiers who might have surrendered now fight to the death. SS prisoners become rare. Peiper's battle group continues advancing, but American resistance stiffens. The road network is inadequate. Traffic jams develop. Fuel becomes critical problem. German logistics cannot keep pace. Peiper's tanks run dry. December 19th. Weather clears. Allied air power appears in overwhelming force. Fighter bombers strafe German columns. Heavy bombers carpet bomb supply lines. Medium bombers hit assembly areas. The Ardennes becomes shooting gallery. Vehicles burning everywhere. German momentum dies. Bastogne becomes critical. American 101st Airborne Division surrounded. They refuse to surrender. German attacks try to capture the town. SS Panzer divisions commit to the assault. But Bastogne holds. December 22. Peiper's Kampfgruppe is cut off. Surrounded near La Glaise. Out of fuel. Low on ammunition. December 23. Peiper receives permission to break out. He abandons all vehicles and heavy weapons. Leads his men on foot back to German lines. 800 men escape. They leave behind approximately 40 tanks and over 100 vehicles is less than #. 0# is greater than, the spearhead is broken. By Christmas, the offensive has stalled. American reinforcements arrive in overwhelming numbers. Patton's Third Army counterattacks from the south. January 1945. Allied counteroffensive begins. German forces retreat, giving up all ground gained. The Ardennes offensive, called Battle of the Bulge by Americans, is complete failure. German casualties. Approximately 100,000 killed, wounded, or captured. 700 tanks destroyed. 1,000 aircraft lost. The Waffen SS divisions are shattered again. Leibstandarte reduced to battle group strength. Das Reich similar. Hohenstaufen and Hitlerjugend devastated. More critically, Germany's last strategic reserve is gone. The fuel wasted in Ardennes. The tanks destroyed. The irreplaceable veteran soldiers killed. All squandered on an offensive that had no chance of success. Hitler has thrown away Germany's last hope. Now the borders are open. The Allies will pour into Germany from east and west. And the Waffen SS will fight the final battles with whatever fragments remain. January 12, 1945. Soviet forces launch Vistula-Oder offensive. 2.2 million men, 6,000 tanks, 46,000 artillery pieces. The Eastern Front explodes. German defences collapse within days. Soviet armies advance up to 40 miles per day. By end of January, they're within 100 miles of Berlin is less than Hachon. 5 hash is greater than. Hitler makes a catastrophic decision. He appoints Heinrich Himmler to military command. Army Group Vistula. Himmler has no military training, no combat experience. He's a bureaucrat and ideologue, not a general. But Hitler believes loyalty trumps competence. The SS will save Germany. Himmler will prove superior to the defeatist army generals. It's delusional. Himmler establishes headquarters and issues orders. But he has no understanding of operational art. His staff officers, borrowed from other commands, try to manage the disaster. February 16. Himmler orders Operation Solstice. Counter-offensive to cut off Soviet spearheads. 11th SS Panzer Army under Felix Steiner will lead the attack. The army is mostly paper formation. Few actual divisions. Mostly ad hoc battle groups and remnants. The offensive begins with minimal preparation. Inadequate artillery support. Insufficient fuel. No air cover. It's hopeless from the start. German attacks make minimal gains. Soviet defences hold. Within days, Soviets counterattack. German forces retreat. Himmler's incompetence is obvious. He issues contradictory orders, ignores tactical realities, insists on holding untenable positions. His staff works around him when possible. By March, even Hitler recognizes the failure. Himmler is quietly relieved of Army Group Command. General Gotthard Heinrici takes over, is less than #0. 5 is greater than a competent defensive specialist. But the damage is done. Critical weeks wasted. The Soviets are at the gates of Berlin. Operation Solstice demonstrates the fundamental failure of SS military culture. Loyalty and ideology cannot substitute for professional competence. Political reliability doesn't win battles. The Waffen SS divisions fighting under Himmler's command perform adequately, but they cannot overcome catastrophic leadership. Even elite troops need competent commanders. Himmler returns to his administrative duties, managing concentration camps, overseeing internal security. His brief military career is humiliating failure. Meanwhile, the Red Army continues advancing. Nothing can stop them now. March 6, 1945. Hungary. Germany launches its last major offensive of the war. Operation Spring Awakening. The objective: recapture Hungarian oil fields, Germany's last source of natural petroleum. 6th SS Panzer Army transferred from the Ardennes leads the assault. Leibstandarte, Das Reich, Hohenstaufen, and Hitlerjugend. What remains of them? These divisions are shadows of their former strength, rebuilt repeatedly after catastrophic losses. The replacements are teenagers and old men. Equipment is a mix of new production and captured vehicles. But they're still SS Panzer divisions, still dangerous, still capable of aggressive action. The offensive begins in winter mud is less than #0. 5 is greater than. Conditions are terrible. Tanks bog down. Supply vehicles can't move. Initial attacks achieve limited success. German armour breaks through first Soviet defensive lines. Advances 20 to 30 miles in some sectors. But Soviet defences are deep, multiple echelons. When the first line breaks, another waits behind it. German momentum slows, then stops. Fuel runs out. Ammunition depletes. March 16. Soviet counteroffensive begins. 2 Ukrainian fronts strike German flanks. Over 400,000 men, 1,800 tanks. The Germans are overwhelmed. 6th SS Panzer Army retreats, fighting delaying actions, losing vehicles to breakdowns faster than to combat. Hitler is furious. The SS Panzer divisions have failed. After all the priority treatment, all the resources, they've been defeated. He orders a humiliating punishment. SS divisions must remove their cuff titles, the distinctive unit insignia worn on uniforms. It's symbolic degradation, public disgrace. Many SS soldiers are devastated. They've sacrificed everything, bled across Europe. And now Hitler questions their loyalty. Sepp Dietrich reportedly refuses to relay the order. Some accounts claim he sent his Knight's Cross back to Hitler. Whether this actually happened is disputed. But the insult reveals Hitler's detachment from reality. He blames his soldiers for strategic disasters he created is less than his own. 0 is greater than his. Impossible demands destroyed them. By early April, 6th SS Panzer Army is evacuating Hungary, retreating toward Austria. Then Germany. Lake Balaton is the final offensive operation. Germany will never again attack. From this point, it's only defense, only retreat, only death. The SS Panzer divisions that survived Poland, France, Russia, Normandy, and the Ardennes are finally broken. Not by single battle, by accumulation of catastrophes. They have no replacements left, no fuel, no hope. just orders to keep fighting. And they will, because that's what they were forged to do. Fight until destroyed. April 16, 1945. The Seelow Heights, east of Berlin. The last major defensive position protecting the capital. 2. Soviet fronts attack. First Belarusian under Marshal Zhukov from the east. First Ukrainian under Marshal Konev from the southeast. Over 2.5 million Soviet soldiers. Defending. Army Group Vistula. Less than 1 million men. Exhausted under-strength divisions. Many are ad hoc formations. Stragglers, police, Hitler Youth, Volkssturm, Home Guard. Several SS formations are in the line. 11th SS Nordland Division. Remnants of various other units, including some French SS from Charlemagne. The Soviet assault begins with massive bombardment. 20,000 artillery pieces. The ground shakes. German positions are obliterated, is less than Hashon. 5 is greater than, but German forces fight with desperate determination. They know what Soviet occupation means. Years of propaganda about Asiatic hordes. Stories of atrocities in East Prussia. Real crimes Soviet soldiers are committing as they advance. April 18th. Seelow Heights fall. German defences collapse. Soviet forces pour through gaps. April 21st. Soviet artillery begins shelling Berlin. The final battle begins. Hitler is in his bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery, cut off from reality, issuing orders to armies that no longer exist, moving divisions on maps that have been destroyed. He orders Felix Steiner to attack with Army Detachment Steiner, relieve Berlin. The formation barely exists. Steiner has perhaps 10,000 men. No armour, no air support, facing entire Soviet armies. Steiner doesn't attack, cannot attack. The order is impossible. April 22. Hitler learns Steiner hasn't moved. He erupts in rage, declares the war is lost. Everyone has betrayed him. Even the SS. This is the moment Hitler finally accepts defeat. But the fighting continues. Berlin becomes street-by-street battle. Soviet forces advance block by block. The 11th SS Nordland Division fights in the city centre. Scandinavian volunteers. French from Charlemagne. Spanish volunteers. Multinational SS formation defending Hitler's capital. They establish positions in government buildings is less than #0. 5 is greater than fight from ruins. Every building a fortress. Every room defended. Soviet tactics are brutal but effective. Artillery fires point blank into buildings. Collapse entire structures on defenders. Infantry storm the ruins. April 30th. Adolf Hitler commits suicide in his bunker. The man to whom the SS swore personal loyalty is dead. But SS troops continue fighting. Some don't know Hitler is dead. Some know but fight anyway. They have nowhere to go. Surrender means uncertain fate. May 1st, Soviet forces reach the Reichstag. the symbolic heart of German government. French SS troops from Charlemagne are defending nearby. Approximately 30 men. They fight Soviet tanks with Panzerfausts. It's absurd and tragic. Frenchmen dying to defend Berlin. The final irony of the Waffen SS story. May 2nd. Berlin garrison surrenders. Approximately 134,000 German troops lay down weapons. The 11th SS Nordland has ceased to exist. Its commander, Joachim Ziegler, died of wounds during the fighting. Survivors scatter or surrender individually. Berlin demonstrates the absolute end of the Waffen SS as fighting force. They fought to the literal last. In impossible conditions, for a cause already lost, with a fanaticism born of years of indoctrination. Some will call this honor, but there's no honor in fighting for the Third Reich. Not after what they did is less than #0. 5 is greater than not after what they enabled. Berlin is the end. But the war isn't quite over. One final battle remains. May 6, 1945. Prague rises against German occupation. Czech resistance seizes buildings, erects barricades. German forces in the city fight back, including elements of various SS units. Some withdrawing from the east. Some stationed in Prague. May 7th. Field Marshal Schörner commands Army Group Center. Approximately 1 million men, retreating westward. They're trying to reach American lines. Surrender to Americans rather than Soviets. The roads are clogged with troops, vehicles, refugees. Prague is in their path. Fighting continues. SS units battle Czech resistance and approaching Soviet forces. May 8th, 1945. Germany surrenders unconditionally. But in Prague, the fighting continues. Some SS units don't get the word. Some refuse to surrender. Some are trying to break through to American lines. May 9th. Soviet forces enter Prague. The last fighting finally stops. These are the last shots of the European war, fired by SS troops who either didn't know or didn't care that Germany had surrendered. The war is over. The Third Reich is destroyed. The Waffen SS has been annihilated. Now comes the reckoning. The war is over. Now comes accounting. The evidence is overwhelming. Mountains of documents is less than #0. 5 is greater than thousands of witnesses. Mass graves. The scale of SS criminality defies comprehension. This wasn't random violence. This was systematic. Institutional. Criminal behavior woven into the fabric of the organization. Start with the concentration camps. The Totenkopfverbände, Death's Head units, operated the camp system. They guarded prisoners, carried out executions, managed the machinery of genocide. These weren't separate from the Waffen SS. They were the same organization. Theodor Eicke commanded concentration camp guards before commanding 3rd SS Totenkopf Division. The division was formed directly from camp personnel. They brought their methods with them. The connection is direct and undeniable. Then, the Einsatzgruppen, mobile killing squads. Following Wehrmacht and Waffen SS advances into Soviet Union, murdering Jews, communists, intellectuals, Roma. Some Waffen SS units participated directly. Others provided logistical support. Others stood guard while massacres occurred. The claim, "we were just soldiers," collapses under documentation. Specific atrocities form a horrifying list. Le Paradis, France, May 1940. 97 British POWs machine-gunned by Totenkopf. Perpetrator, Fritz Knocklein, former Dachau Guard. Wormhout, France, May 1940. 80 British and French POWs murdered by Leibstandarte. Grenades thrown into barn where they were held. Malmedy, Belgium, December 1944, is less than #0. 5# is greater than 84 American POWs shot by Kampfgruppe Piper. Part of Leibstandarte. Warsaw Ghetto, April-May 1943. 13,000 Jews killed. 50,000 deported to death camps. SS forces under Jürgen Stroop systematically destroyed the ghetto. Oradour-sur-Glane, France, June 1944. 642 civilians massacred by Das Reich. Women and children locked in church and burned alive. Commander Heinz Lammerding never prosecuted. Died peacefully, 1971. Sant'Anna di Stazzema, Italy, August 1944. 560 civilians murdered by 16th SS. Another village erased. Marzabotto, Italy, September-October 1944. 770 civilians killed by 16th SS. Reprisal for partisan activity. This is not exhaustive list. These are examples. The pattern repeats across occupied Europe. Anti-partisan operations routinely escalated to civilian massacre. The ratio was often 10 civilians executed for every German soldier killed. Entire villages destroyed on suspicion. The Dirlewanger Brigade represents extreme but not unique case. Composed of convicted criminals and court-martialed SS men, their atrocities in Warsaw and Belarus horrified even other SS units. But they operated with Himmler's explicit approval. The systematic nature is what distinguishes SS criminality. Individual Wehrmacht units committed atrocities. War crimes occurred across all armies is less than #shown. 0# is greater than. But the SS was institutionally criminal. Training emphasized racial ideology, dehumanization of enemies, absolute obedience. Men were taught that certain categories of people had no rights. Orders explicitly authorized criminal behavior. The Commissar Order, the Barbarossa Decree, reprisal directives. Legal framework was created for atrocity. And, crucially, perpetrators faced no consequences from their own side. Courts-martial were rare. Convictions rarer. The message was clear: you can do anything. After the war, SS veterans will claim they knew nothing, that combat divisions were separate from camps. that they fought honorably. The evidence proves otherwise. The organizations were intertwined. Personnel transferred between camps and combat units. The same men who guarded concentration camps commanded panzer divisions. Theodor Eicke, inspector of concentration camps. Commander 3rd SS Panzer Division Totenkopf. Max Simon, involved in atrocities on Eastern Front, later commanded Totenkopf. Joachim Paper, Malmedy massacre, previously served on Himmler's personal staff. The connections are everywhere. This was one organization with multiple functions, all serving the same criminal regime. The Waffen SS was not just another branch of the armed forces. It was the military arm of an organization dedicated to genocide. Fighting ability doesn't erase that. Tactical competence doesn't excuse atrocity is less than #3. 0# is greater than. After the war, two narratives develop. One narrative. The Waffen SS was elite military formation. Soldiers like any others. They fought bravely, followed orders, died for their country. Should be remembered as soldiers, not criminals. Second narrative. The Waffen SS was criminal organization. Complicit in genocide. Committed systematic atrocities. Cannot be separated from Holocaust. Deserves only condemnation. Both contain elements of truth. Both are inadequate. The reality is more complex and more disturbing. Individual SS soldiers present impossible moral calculus. Some were teenage volunteers who believed propaganda. Some were drafted into SS divisions late in war. Some were foreign volunteers motivated by anti-communism. Some genuinely didn't participate in atrocities. But they all wore the same uniform, swore the same oath, served the same cause. A 17-year-old Hitlerjugend division recruit dying in Normandy. Is he victim of indoctrination or perpetrator of Nazi crimes? Can he be both? A Norwegian volunteer in Nordland Division fighting Soviets, motivated by genuine anti-communism, never participated in Holocaust. Is he war criminal simply for SS membership? A Leibstandarte veteran who fought in Poland, France, Russia, Normandy, witnessed atrocities but didn't commit them personally. Followed orders. Is silence complicity? These questions have no clean answers. Is less than #3. 0# is greater than. What's clear is the organizational guilt. The Waffen SS, as institution, was criminal. Individual guilt varies, but everyone who served contributed to criminal enterprise. The combat record cannot be separated from criminal record. They are two faces of same organization. The Waffen SS was militarily effective. This is historical fact. At their peak, SS Panzer divisions were among Wehrmacht's best formations. Aggressive leadership, high morale, good equipment. They achieved tactical successes. Wehrmacht divisions could not. But military effectiveness doesn't confer moral legitimacy. The German army in First World War was effective. That doesn't justify the war. The Wehrmacht was effective in 1940. That doesn't justify Nazi aggression. The Waffen SS fought effectively for an evil cause. That's the fundamental truth. After the war, SS veterans form organizations. HIAG, Mutual Aid Association of former Waffen SS members. They lobby for recognition as regular soldiers, not war criminals. They emphasize combat record, downplay or deny atrocities, claim they were soldiers like any others, fighting for their country. This rehabilitation effort partially succeeds, particularly during Cold War. When West Germany needed to rearm, when anti-communism became dominant Western priority, some former SS officers serve in Bundeswehr, the new West German military. This is pragmatic but morally questionable, is less than #. 5# is greater than. The counter-narrative also evolves. Holocaust survivors, historians, war crimes, prosecutors. They document SS criminality, fight against rehabilitation. The debate continues today. Military historians study SS tactics and operations, analyzing what made them effective. This can be done without moral endorsement, but the line is difficult to maintain. Some discussions of SS military prowess slide into admiration, forgetting or minimizing the crimes. This is dangerous. Other discussions focus exclusively on criminality, ignoring military history entirely. This is more morally safe, but historically incomplete. The truth requires holding both realities simultaneously. The Waffen SS was militarily effective and criminally complicit. These aren't contradictory. They're both true. Individual soldiers experienced real camaraderie, real courage under fire, real sacrifice. These human experiences were real, but they were in service of genocide. That context cannot be forgotten. The question, heroes or criminals, is false choice. The answer is neither and both. They were human beings who served monstrous cause, some with full knowledge, some with partial understanding, some in denial, all culpable to varying degrees. There are no clean answers here, only uncomfortable truths. Nuremberg, 1945–46. The International Military Tribunal. The SS is declared criminal organization is less than # 5# is greater than. This means membership alone can be prosecuted. Don't need to prove individual crimes. Simply proving SS membership is evidence of participation in criminal conspiracy. In practice, prosecution is selective. High-ranking SS leaders face trial. Ernst Kaltenbrunner, head of Reich Security Main Office, hanged. Oswald Pohl, administrator of concentration camp system, hanged. Many escape justice. Heinrich Himmler commits suicide, May 23, 1945. Captured by British, takes cyanide capsule. Never faces trial. Reinhard Heydrich, already dead. Assassinated by Czech resistance, 1942. Adolf Eichmann escapes to Argentina. Lives under assumed name. Captured by Mossad, 1960. Tried in Israel. Executed 1962. Joseph Mengele escapes to South America. Never captured. Dies Brazil, 1979. Thousands of lower-ranking SS men face various fates. Some are tried immediately after war. Military tribunals prosecute specific atrocities. Malmedy massacre trials. Various camp personnel. Fritz Nocklein, Le Paradis massacre, tried, hanged, 1949. Joachim Peiper, Malmedy massacre, tried, sentenced to death. Commuted to life. Released 1956. Murdered by unknown assailants, France, 1976. Kurt Meyer, Panzer Meyer, tried Canada for murder of POWs. Sentenced to death. Commuted. Released 1954, is less than Hasson. 5# is greater than. Jürgen Stroop, Warsaw Ghetto commander, extradited Poland. Tried, hanged 1952. Heinz Lammerding, Oradour-sur-Glane commander, France requests extradition. West Germany refuses. He lives peacefully. Runs construction company. Dies 1971. Never prosecuted. The inconsistency is glaring. Many SS war criminals are never prosecuted. Some protected by Cold War politics. West needs former Nazis for anti-communist struggle. Some escape to sympathetic countries. Argentina welcomes Nazi refugees. So does Syria. So does Egypt. The ratlines help thousands escape justice. Some simply return to normal life. Change names. Hide past. Many are never caught. As Cold War intensifies, prosecution slows. West Germany is needed as NATO ally. Former SS officers are rehabilitated. Some serve in Bundeswehr. The pursuit of justice fades. Not from lack of evidence, from political convenience. This is moral failure. Some trials continue into 21st century. Germany prosecutes elderly former guards. Symbolic trials. Justice delayed decades. But most perpetrators die unpunished, protected by time, politics, indifference. The survivors, the victims, watch justice fail, knowing their tormentors live free. This compounds the trauma. The reckoning was incomplete. Justice was partial. Many crimes went unpunished. That's the uncomfortable truth is less than #3. 0# is greater than. 80 years later, the arguments continue. Museums debate how to display SS artifacts. Military historians argue about tactical assessments. Survivors insist on moral clarity. The questions never resolve cleanly. But certain truths are undeniable. The Waffen SS was created as Hitler's personal military force, loyal to him, not to Germany. Built on ideology of racial superiority, trained in methods of brutality. They fought effectively. This is historical fact. At their peak, among the best fighting formations on any side. They also committed systematic atrocities. This is also historical fact. Not random violence, but institutional criminality. These two truths coexist. They were effective soldiers and war criminals. Both things are true. The lesson is uncomfortable. Military effectiveness doesn't indicate moral worth. Tactical skill doesn't excuse atrocity. You can be brave and competent while serving evil. Ordinary people can commit extraordinary crimes. When indoctrinated from youth, when authority provides legal cover, when ideology dehumanizes victims, normal men become murderers. The Waffen-SS demonstrated how institutions shape behavior. Individual morality matters. But institutional culture matters more. They showed how nationalism becomes fanaticism, how military honor detaches from morality, how loyalty to leader replaces conscience. They proved that elite status and criminal behavior are compatible is less than #0. 5# is greater than. That professional competence can serve genocide. That training and discipline can be turned to evil ends. These lessons remain relevant. Understanding the Waffen-SS isn't about judging individual soldiers 80 years later. It's about understanding how ordinary people participate in atrocity, how institutions enable evil, how ideology corrupts. The men of the Waffen-SS were not monsters. They were human beings. That's what makes their story so disturbing. If they were monsters, we could dismiss them as aberrations. But they were people, which means similar transformations remain possible. That's the real horror. Not that evil exists, but that ordinary people can be shaped into serving it. The Waffen-SS story is not about distant history. It's a warning about what happens when military culture detaches from moral framework, when loyalty replaces conscience, when ideology justifies atrocity. This is what they really were: elite soldiers in service of genocide. Both things, always both. And that's the truth we must remember. 80 years after Prague, the debates continue. Walk into any military history bookstore. You'll find dozens of books about the Waffen-SS. Some focus on tactics and battles, others on criminality and atrocities. Few manage to hold both truths simultaneously. Museums struggle with how to display SS artifacts, uniforms, weapons, equipment. Do you present them as military history is less than #0, 5# is greater than, or as evidence of crimes? The answer is both. But that's uncomfortable. So the arguments never end. Veterans associations fought for decades, trying to separate combat formations from camps, trying to claim soldiers like any others. The evidence says otherwise. Survivors and their descendants fight back, insisting on moral clarity, refusing to allow rehabilitation, remembering what was done. Both sides have truth. Both sides are incomplete. The Waffen-SS cannot be understood through single lens. They were elite soldiers. This is demonstrable. Tactical competence, operational success, battlefield effectiveness, all real. They were also war criminals. This is equally demonstrable. Systematic atrocities, participation in genocide, institutional criminality, all documented. These aren't contradictions. They're two aspects of same reality. What makes the Waffen SS story important is not that they were uniquely evil, but that they were ordinarily human. Most SS soldiers weren't sadists or psychopaths. They were normal people, shaped by institutions, indoctrinated by ideology, following orders, believing propaganda. That's the terrifying lesson. Ordinary people can commit extraordinary crimes when the system tells them it's necessary, when ideology provides justification, when authority removes individual responsibility. The Waffen SS showed how military excellence becomes hollow is less than #0. 5# is greater than when detached from moral framework. Tactical brilliance means nothing when serving genocidal cause. They demonstrated how loyalty becomes fanaticism, how discipline becomes brutality, how elite identity enables atrocity. These patterns recur throughout history. Different uniforms, different flags, different ideologies, but same mechanism. Professional military divorced from ethical constraints, personal loyalty replacing constitutional duty, dehumanization of designated enemies, institutional culture enabling criminality. The Waffen SS is extreme example, but the warning applies broadly. Understanding their story isn't about condemning teenagers who died 80 years ago. It's about understanding mechanisms of institutional evil. How ordinary people participate in atrocity. How professional competence serves criminal ends. The question isn't, how could they? The question is, how could we prevent this? Because it can happen again. Different context, different form, but same underlying dynamics. That's why we study this history, not to judge the dead, but to learn from their failures. The Waffen SS was elite fighting force that fought for evil. Both parts of that sentence matter. Ignore either, and you miss the point. They were soldiers and criminals, warriors and murderers, brave and monstrous. Both. Always both. That's the uncomfortable truth is less than #0. 5# is greater than that's what they really were. And that's what we must remember. From 8 men guarding Adolf Hitler in 1925 to 910,000 across 38 divisions by 1945. The Waffen SS embodied all the contradictions of Nazi Germany. Elite and criminal, professional and fanatical, effective and evil. They won battles but lost the war. They achieved tactical brilliance but served strategic insanity. They displayed courage and committed atrocities. They were human beings who chose monstrous actions, or were shaped into them, or both. The questions don't have clean answers. What's certain is the cost. Millions dead, cities destroyed, Civilization nearly collapsed. All in service of ideology that promised greatness and delivered only ruin. The men of blood paid in blood. But they took millions with them. That's the final accounting. That's the complete story. All of it